Hello lovely couples and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lauren, wedding planner and owner of Bluebird Creative. I provide you with a weekly dose of wedding planning goodness for the stylish couple. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell so that you'll be notified every week when a new video lands. So this week we are talking about, should you DIY? Should you not DIY? Now this is coming from a professional wedding planner who pulls in professional suppliers for all my couples. However, this is also coming from a DIY bride. I was, in fact, a DIY bride. So I definitely can look at this from both sides of the spectrum. And I'm going to give you my advice and my experience on what I think works, what I would potentially avoid. But at the end of the day, guys, remember, as I always say, you do you. This is just advice to help you work out the best option for you. So let's just jump in. Okay, so I've got 7 different areas. I've picked 7. I feel like they're the best 7. I mean, there's literally so many categories. We would be here all day. So I've gone for the most popular 7. If there's more topics that you want to cover, we can do that in another video. But 7 today. And the first one that we're going to start with is flowers. Now, I actually did the majority of my own flowers for my wedding. And that was back before I had really had any experience with flowers. Now I like playing with flowers. I create sort of some centerpieces for some of my at-home services. I am not a florist, but I would say I have a little way with flowers as such. But I had no experience with flowers at all when I did my own wedding, but I just loved the creativity and I have always loved playing with flowers. And it was something that I was really passionate about wanting to do. Now, what I didn't do was my bouquet, my bridesmaids' bouquets, or the buttonholes for the groomsmen. I also didn't do, I had 2 large arrangements that were created for either side of sort of the ceremony, and I used those, I repurposed those as such as gifts for both my mum and for my mother-in-law, which worked really nicely. So I had those done professionally, and then the rest of the flowers, all the table centers basically, I did myself. Now, it is very, very much doable, and I would say if you're creative, if you're passionate about doing it, you like playing with flowers, then it is doable, but there are a couple of things to consider. If you have never played with flowers before, I say played, you don't really do table styling and you don't like to play with flowers when you get given a bouquet. So when I get given a bouquet, I will take it apart, I will trim it, I will make sure that the foliage is all gone and that it's cut in the right angle, and I will then place the bouquet back into a vase but in my own arrangement. If perhaps you don't do that, then maybe this one is not for you. This takes time and you need to make sure that you've got that time. Now, if you cannot, so one of my biggest tips for this one, if you cannot get into your venue the day before your wedding, do not do your flowers yourself. End of. I cannot see how that can work. If you can get in and you can place your flowers the afternoon before your wedding day, then you have time. You can condition your flowers that week. Say you're getting married on the Saturday and you're allowed to get in on the Friday. I purposely chose a Friday wedding because I knew it was less likely that there would be a wedding on the Thursday, which meant I could go in the day before my wedding and lay the tables how I wanted to and have my flowers how I wanted them done. It also meant that I wasn't then having to lay the flowers out on the morning of my wedding. Whatever you do, that is not what you're doing the morning of your wedding. I know I'm very much you do you, but the morning of your wedding is about you relaxing with your friends, having your hair and makeup done and enjoying yourself, not placing flowers on a table. So that's my tip. You need to be able to get in the day before to place everything out. That allows you a day to arrange the flowers the day before. That allows a day before that for the flowers to be conditioned to sit in water overnight and to drink up as much water so that they're actually going to last. So you need to make sure that you have that time, and you need to make sure that you have that time off work, etc. So there is a lot involved. Don't just go in thinking, I can do my flowers, it's fine. There is a lot of time required, so just bear that in mind. If you have that time, you're willing to take that time off. If it works with your venue, go for it. I loved it. I don't regret it. Okay, the second one is invitations. Now, as a wedding planner, I absolutely love working with my wonderful stationers that I work with and recommend to all my clients. The designs that they can come up with are just on another level. Saying that, I DIY'd my own invitations. But the theme of my wedding was shabby chic, and it was all the brown gift like tags, the travel tags or the luggage tags. And my invitations were brown, and I made bunting that stuck on with string and like that washi tape, and I made it into like triangles. So it was the whole theme of my wedding was DIY. So that kind of worked. I wouldn't do it again. But you definitely can do it. It depends on the level that you want to create. You could potentially use something like Canva and create a beautiful design and then have it printed professionally. Then you're not cutting paper or having to do any pressing or embossing or anything like that. If you use something like Canva though, you're not going to get like a difference of card or paper. It's going to be on standard card and probably standard sizes. If you work with a stationer, you can really have something bespoke. You'll be able to use vellum. You'll be able to use that paper that I've forgotten the name of, but it's like made from pulp paper, and then it's mashed together, and it's amazing. And does anybody remember what that's called? You can have different colours, different shapes. You can have curves. You can have gold embossing. You can have gold foil. You can go to town. You can have wax seals created. It's another level. And if I was getting married again, I know who I would go to, I know who I would work with, and I wouldn't do it myself. But it is a different era and it's a different style of wedding. I would be having a different style of wedding now to back when shabby chic was the thing. It's so not the thing now. I did a video on what I would change about my wedding, and the theme may have been part of it, but you can check that out here. So in terms of invitations, you can very much do them. Just bear in mind the amount of time it takes. It is very repetitive. And if you decide that you want to make stuck-on bunting, then it's going to take a long time. You've got to be cutting the string. You've got to be making your little washi tape bunting. Please don't do that. It looks tacky. Our hands up admit, it looked a bit tacky. I think I kept one somewhere. It was okay. It was on trend at the time, so we'll go with it. Just remember the equipment that you might need to purchase as well in order to actually create something of a high quality. So you're not going to be cutting your invites out with a pair of scissors. You might need a guillotine. You might need a professional printer if you're going to print them yourselves that's actually going to get through enough invites and still be decent. So just bear that in mind when you're deciding whether you want to make them or whether you don't want to make them. And if you want to find a halfway house and you don't want to have bespoke invitations made, then you can always go to Etsy and find somebody that has a house design that you can go in and you can purchase, and they can just change the details for you. So that's a good halfway house if you don't want to DIY but you don't want to go bespoke. Okay, cake. Now, little secret for you. I may have entered the Great British Bake Off several times. I actually got through the first auditions one time. I didn't get any further. I found out I was pregnant. I would have been pregnant throughout the whole of the series and due around the final. Let's not get ahead of myself. The likelihood of me actually getting onto the show would have been very slim. But anyway, I declined after the first audition because I just thought it would be too much. I don't know whether that was a good call or not, but here we are. So everyone assumed that I would make my own wedding cake, and I would have loved to have made my own wedding cake. But the idea of doing that stressed me out massively. Now, I didn't want a fruit cake, and if I'd done a fruit cake, then I would have made it myself, because you can do that bad boy well in advance. You can feed it up with all its booze. It can all be made well in advance and sit and rest, and it would be amazing. Not really into fruit cake, and I didn't want a fruitcake for our wedding. So if you are a good baker and you do want a fruitcake, you can 100% do it yourself. Easy. That is the traditional type of cake. I wanted a sponge. I wanted a 3-tier cake with different flavoured sponges. I think we had peanut butter and jam. We had lemon drizzle flavour. We may have just had regular Victoria sponge. I cannot remember the third layer. But I wanted that, and I wanted it I wanted a naked cake. I wanted it rustic because that fitted in with the shabby chic. So there was no way I could do that. We would have ended up with dry sponge, and that is a cardinal sin. Bake Off fans, you know, no soggy bottoms, no dry cake. It had to be moist. So I couldn't do it. I was doing the flowers, I couldn't do it because I would have had to make the cake a day or 2 days beforehand. If anyone has ever had to transport a cake to a wedding venue, that is so stressful. I've done it for a friend. I will never do it again. Very stressful. So anyway, I asked a friend to do it and they did it as a gift for me. So that is another option. If you don't want to DIY and you don't want to pay for somebody to do your cake, why not ask somebody that's talented in that area if they would like to do it, and perhaps that could be their gift to you. That's what I did and it was absolutely wonderful. I wanted rustic, I wanted homemade, and somebody that shared a passion for baking like me, they did it for me. There is absolutely no way I could have dealt with that on the lead up to the wedding. It is entirely up to you. If you're not doing your flowers like I was, perhaps the day before you'll be happy baking a cake and then somebody else will have to transport it for you. But just bear that in mind. It's going to be a lot closer to the wedding day. You won't be able to set it up on the day unless you're willing to sacrifice that time with your friends, in which case that is absolutely fine. It's your wedding day. Okay, so the next one is photography. Now, this is an area where I will say you cannot DIY your wedding photography. It's your day. You're not going to be going around taking pictures of yourself unless you just want selfies. So this is a no-no in my opinion. Now, the halfway house option is to have family friends take your photos, and obviously the other end is for a professional to do it. This is the one area where I will say, please do not compromise on this. For me, this is the only option. A professional is the only option. If this family friend doesn't capture the day how you want them to capture the day, will you be able to speak up and do anything about it? You will be devastated. The photographer has one of the most important roles of the day because they are capturing your memories and you want to make sure that they know what they're doing, that they're super experienced. This person may also want to enjoy the day if they're a guest, and they may not capture all the moments that this person would because they're working. Again, you do you, but my biggest piece of advice in this video is hire a professional wedding photographer. Somebody with experience that will capture the day and capture your memories in the best way possible, because that is what you're going to have to look back at over the years. So just bear that one in mind. Okay, hair and makeup. You can obviously very much do your hair and makeup on your wedding day, or you can't. I did not do my own hair and makeup on my wedding day. I chose to have a professional. And if I had my time again, I would choose to have a professional. Now, it is an extra cost, so you really don't have to do it if you've got a tighter budget. You really can do it yourself. You can practice, you can get some experience going, you can keep practicing the look so you know what you're doing so you don't feel stressed on the morning off. I personally loved having somebody do it for me. It is one of the most special and important days of your life, and it is all about you and you feeling absolutely incredible. So this is another area where I would say, if you have the budget, have somebody come in and look after you and pamper you and make you feel incredible. They will really lift you, lift your confidence, and give you that real wow factor when you look in that mirror and you think, yes, I feel incredible and this day is all about me. That morning of is so lovely when you're there with the Prosecco, with your girlfriends, having your hair and makeup done. It really is an experience that you won't get again. So just consider, in my opinion, don't DIY that. Have somebody come in and do it for you. Okay, so the next one is shoes. Now, I'm not telling you to go and make your own shoes, and this isn't really a popular topic, but I just wanted to throw it in because I DIY'd my own shoes for my wedding. So I don't mean my main shoes. I had Carvela shoes. I think they were gold and glittery. Yes, I do like a little bit of bling now and again. It's the ex-ice skater in me, and I loved them. But I also had a pair of Converse for the evening. I love dancing. I wanted to rest my feet. I just wanted to have fun. We had a live band. I'm a bit of a festival chick at heart. Pair of Converse was for me, but I wanted to make them feel a little bit more special, like my wedding shoes. So I diamanted and hot fixed a load of like neutral crystal coloured diamantes just on the shell bit of the toe and just on the back seam of the heel, and it just really lifted them, making them feel like special wedding shoes. So that is totally something. If you like that idea, take it, steal it, go. I'm not the original person to do it. So many people have done it. It was really easy. It didn't take me that long, just a couple of evenings. evenings just having a play with those, and it just makes them feel a little bit more special. So that one's just a bit of fun, but you can totally DIY or decor your shoes. Don't recommend making your shoes from scratch. I have no advice for that. I wouldn't even know where to start. And finally, decor. Now, this is a really broad category and I don't feel like I can cover it properly, so I'm just going to touch the tip of the iceberg. But when it comes to the decor, you can definitely get involved and DIY some of it. Now, I'll just give you an example from my wedding again. So we provided a load of jam jars for the glasses for the Pim's cocktail in the drinks reception, and I had a load of tags on them that said "Drink Me." I have no idea why I did that. That's Alice in Wonderland. It wasn't an Alice in Wonderland themed wedding. I think I got a bit confused at that point, but we did that. I DIY'd the table plan and all the table numbers, and I created a nice little guest book table, which I again got to set up the day before. And instead of having a guest book, we bought in some really large bottles of red wine that were then empty. We specifically found the bottles that we wanted, and then we had loads of post-it notes and stickers, and people wrote their message, rolled it up, stuck it with a sticker and posted it inside the wine bottle, so that we had messages in a bottle, and we then opened them on our first wedding anniversary and read all the messages together, which was lovely. And we created all the decor and that for that table ourselves. So there were lots of bits throughout the day where I did all the decor. It took me ages, absolutely ages. We had a 16-month engagement and I pretty much was doing it throughout, fitting it into my time. And I didn't work a 9 to 5. I would work really early mornings and then afternoons. So I had time in the middle of the day to do some of the decor and time in the evenings. So just bear that in mind. If you work really long hours, you may not be able to fit in all the decor. It's totally up to you, but just bear in mind how much there is to do, how much you want to take on, and have you got the time, because you just don't want to stress yourself out unnecessarily. But it's nice to have little touches that you've done, because you do notice it on the day and think, I love that, I made it, part of me went into that. So I totally get it. And if you don't want to make the decor and do the DIY decor yourself, that is absolutely fine. There are so many fantastic styling prop hire companies now, and they are growing bigger, and there are more of them with widely available different props and things that you can add to your day without it having to be DIY. So do investigate that option as well, because it can also actually save you money hiring things. DIY can sometimes surprisingly cost more than you think, because you may not have all the equipment to make everything. So that one is a bit of a broad area because there is so much involved in decor, but I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of what you need to think about and what you shouldn't think about. So guys, those are my 7 different categories for whether you should DIY or whether you shouldn't. I hope you found that helpful this week. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Make sure you check out the links in the box below for all my freebies, and remember, my new at-home service has just launched, so you can check that out down below as well. Have a fantastic week guys, and I will see you next week for some more wedding planning goodness. See you later.